Hello and welcome to We Live in a Society. This section will feature Chantal stories, where I will tell you stories that's happened to me as I've travelled the world. So another story of a stranger that I will always remember happened back in 2010. So back in 2010 I decided to cycle down South America with my friend Aaron. Now I'd met Aaron years before at a summer camp where we both worked in the Poconos Mountains, and we became friends. I was in the outdoor adventure department and he was in the arts department, and we became friends during that summer, and we stayed in contact after, and we decided that we would cycle down South America. Now, so we both met in South America, and we'd planned to cycle from Cuzco, Peru, through Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, and then across the Andes into Chile. So I had never done any long cycle touring before, whereas he'd done quite a lot. So I didn't have a specially designed touring bike. I purchased a mountain bike that I then sort of constructed panniers to fit. So yeah, it wasn't technically a well-designed touring bike, and the panniers and the racks, I guess, didn't quite fit the mountain bike correctly. So anyway, we started out day one from Cuzco, and we'd planned to go to Urcos, I think, which was, just a small day to start with for the first day. I think it was like 70 kilometers. So anyway, the whole first half of the trip was all uphill, and everything was fine. And then we come to a nice downhill section. So I start going down this hill, and the bike starts to feel as if I'm losing control of it. And by this point, I have like a cycle computer. By this point, I'm going about 60 kilometers an hour down this hill. And then I could feel the panniers, they'd come off the rack. And because I was going so fast and it was quite windy, they were knocking the panniers. And I knew at that point that there was no way that I could stop. I knew I was going to fall. I had like the death wobbles. So I didn't panic. I'm not prone to panic. I knew I couldn't slam on my brakes, but I thought if I gently apply them, I'll slow down enough that the fall might not kill me. So I just started slowing down, knowing that I was going to fall off the bike, and that's the last thing I remember. Except now I'm a scientist, but as I like, what I do remember before I woke up was I remember like seeing my body from above, and it felt like a bubble was around me, and like there was this voice. It's like, you're going to be fine. And so I don't know, and then I don't remember anything after. I just feel this bubble over me and watching myself from above. And then I woke up to this woman, this Peruvian woman over the top of me, lifting up my arms and my legs, and I guess trying to see if I'd broken anything. And when I hit the road, I'd been knocked out, and I skidded quite a fair way. And so like all the right side of my body, the skin was like melted off, the clothes were burnt off. It was disgusting. I hit my head pretty hard, my helmet was smashed. So yeah, I was knocked unconscious. I don't know for how long, but she had, just by pure chance, there happened to be Inca ruins on the side of the road, and she was at the ruins with her family, and she'd seen the accident. Aaron hadn't seen what had happened. He kept, because we were going fast down this hill, he'd gone down and around the bend, so he didn't know what had happened to me. So she'd witnessed it. She came up to the road because she was like in the field with the ruins, and dragged me off the road and my bike before the bus, because you could see a fair distance before like the bus. There was a bus coming, so she pulled me off the road before a bus hit me. So she saved my life, and again, I don't know her name, and she made sure I was all right. And then I think she got her brother, I think he was, to get in their car and go get Aaron. And so it didn't seem like long between when, because she'd obviously seen him continue on and wanted to get my friend. And so I must have been out for a while, because Aaron seemed to be there in an instant. So and then I only had enough medical supplies like to patch myself up for like a couple of days. I only had a basic first aid kit. We're in the middle of nowhere really. Like by that point we'd gone most of the way, so there's no way I could have made it to Urcos. So we ended up going to this little town. So bandaged, patched myself up as best I could. My bike was unharmed. I didn't have anything broken. I just had a really bad headache and no skin on the right side of my body, which was going to be the main problem with infection, considering I was in like a third world country. But so then we couldn't go to Urcos, so I said, let's just cycle to Anduhalias. It's probably not how you pronounce it, but it was another like 20 kilometers. So I just got on my bike and cycled there. There was a little town, And I thought, well, if anything happens to me, at least I'll be able to get some kind of medical attention rather than just camping on the side of the road like we did a lot beside like Inca ruins or somewhere like that. And so yeah, so I was fine. And then but the worst part was, because we couldn't get medical supplies for a while, every night I would have to go to sleep, because I saved the bandages for during the day when there was, you know, sweat and dirt and everything to stop the infection. But overnight I wouldn't sleep with the bandages on me. I'd try and let it dry out a bit and put the antiseptic or the antibacterial cream. But problem was, every morning my clothes would stick to my wounds, and every morning I would wake up and have to rip them off and like reopen everything. And I've still got all the scars from that trip as a reminder. Yeah, so thanks to that woman who saved me from being hit by a bus. And then when I got home, so then I continued cycling, and then a few weeks later I was cycling and I was fine. I didn't die overnight of some kind of head injury that went undetected. But after that, like, I was cycling and my arm went numb. And I couldn't move it. I'm like, oh my God. I said, Aaron, stop. I said, like, I think I'm having a stroke or something. Like, I can't feel my arm at all. And I had to lift it up and put it back on the bike and just keep cycling to the next town, because again, we're like, I think at this point we're in like the Bolivian salt flats or something. And so anyway, so it was just really weak, this arm. It hurt after cycling all day. My arm was just so sore I couldn't move it. So anyway, a couple of months later, I was back in Australia. 4 months later I was back in Australia, and my arm was still weak, so I thought I'd go to the doctors, and I got a referral for an x-ray, and yeah, like, I'd fractured my arm. And so obviously he's like, oh yeah, you've fractured your arm, but it looks like it was a couple of months ago. And so yeah, so I ended up cycling most of South America with a fractured arm. So I think I was quite lucky that I didn't break it. But yeah, that's that story.